Well, this is a video about the Carrera / B-twin debate that's been going on for a little while. Now I will be getting both of these bikes and doing some destructive testing by basically riding the crap out of them at places like Chicksands, places like that, Bike Park Wales, Danbury, those kinds of places. But I just want to address the first thing you keep saying about one, the weight limit of 160 kilos on the Carrera. Is this realistic? No, absolutely not. That suspension fork is not going to handle 160 kilos. What is going to happen, and I've seen this happen many times, the B-twin wouldn't handle it either. Both these Suntour forks would explode at the second you went down a jump. The plastic top cap that holds the spring retainer, would fail, and the spring goes flying out the top of the fork. I have seen this happen so many times on cheap forks in general, but as we're talking about cheap bikes, they both have forks with similar limitations. Both the forks are terrible, and you'd want to upgrade those as soon as money allows. That's the first thing we need to get out of the way of both of these bikes, just straight away. The second thing you need to get out of the way is spoke eyelets on wheels and the wheel sets on both bikes. Now the B-twin comes with a wheel set that has reinforced spoke eyelets. Now every wheel set made by every good manufacturer has these reinforced eyelets. Here we have a set of Halo dirt jump wheels. If I hold the camera up here a minute, see they have eyelets. ProLite, these are hand-built wheels. They're not done on any auto lacing machine or anything like that. These have reinforced spoke eyelets. Every model in their range has reinforced spoke eyelets. DT Swiss, reinforced eyelets. Mavic, this is a rim but reinforced eyelets, as you can see there. These are all the high-end brands of wheel sets. Hope Hoops. Okay, Hope doesn't actually make their own rims as far as I'm aware. They're made by someone else, but again, reinforced eyelets. Now, there is some manufacturers who make super light cross-country wheels, and they'll put this extra bit of reinforcement in here, and that acts so it doesn't really need a reinforced eyelet as such. And this is typically on things like real lightweight cross-country wheels and things like that. But it's not very common in this kind of technology. As you can see here, there's support here. This extra piece of material here, this is all extruded on an aluminium extrusion machine, a bit like Mr. Play-Doh machine, but obviously it's aluminium coming through under pressure. This is not the sort of technology you're going to have on a Carrera. It's just going to be a cheap wheel without this kind of technology. And some of the wheels still use this technology with eyelets, so they're even stronger, but of course being cross-country it really isn't necessary on this type of wheel. Anyway, moving on. That's one of the only brands that does that. A lot of road wheels are built like that though. Here we have Alex rims. Now, not such a big player, not super high end or anything like that. As you can see, most of their rims sport eyelets. Again, there's the cyclocross whip rim to the left here, which doesn't. Yeah, it is cyclocross. It says MTB trekking. If you click on it, it isn't. It's 17mm wide. So, yeah. Anyway, so back onto the elephant in the room, if you like. So here we have the B-twin. I'm just going to read the specs off the top of the list. I've got the page open here just to look at the specifications. Okay. So drivetrain, 3 to 8 speed chain wheel. So you've got first parts of the bike are the ratio. I'll just talk about the ratios quickly. 22, 32, 42 on the front. Shimano Atlas or Micro Shift MS22 front derailleur, SRAM X3 rear derailleur, SRAM X4 shifters with speed indicators, SRAM, proper SRAM PG 820 8-speed cassette, 1132 teeth, as that's important to mention for later. So let's go on to the Carrera Hellcat. This is the red one. I just randomly clicked on it because it was red. So let's have a look, see what we've got on here. So let's look at the drivetrain in particular. So we have a Shimano HG 200 8-speed, and if we go, I did have it open. Oh, here we go. Now this is Shimano's Tawny range. So this is the absolute bottom of the range as far as Shimano is concerned. This is bottom of the barrel lowest of the low as far as cassettes are concerned. This is something I didn't even realise it was running. It's not a huge deal, but it's definitely worse than the B-Twin, even if ever so slightly. Chain's pretty decent, it's a KMC chain. There's a crank set. Now, there's probably going to be debate about this as well, but I've certainly used a few Suntour crank sets in my time, and the square tapers on them are just not very strong. They end up basically rounding out even with the bolts tight. I've gone over like down a curb. This was actually probably on a Carrera actually. It would have been a Carrera or a Saracen, one of the two back in the day. And both cranks ended up sort of like parallel to each other where they'd bent round, so both pedals were facing flat in the same direction. That was quite a common mechanical failure. I'm talking from experience here. This is just from experience as a rider. I've owned well over 1,000 bikes. I buy sell bikes. I do that kind of stuff, so I can just say what I've seen. Anyway, the front derailleur on the Carrera is a Shimano Tawny again, so it's the absolute bottom of the line, and that is being operated by a SRAM X4 shifter, 3x8 speed, which is not good. So you've got a bottom end front derailleur, whereas the Carrera had Atlas, so it's a bit the B-Twin had Atlas, sorry, the Carrera has Tawny. So yeah, that's not so great. Basically the B-Twin had the proper SRAM rear cog, whereas this is running a Shimano rear cog on a SRAM system, which isn't ideal. And yeah, so it's just kind of odd that this guy's saying about the spoke eyelets not being necessarily a big thing. But more to the point is the fact that this is a cheap 29er that's 500 grams heavier than the B-Twin, which is quite a bit. And of course any good 29er has a 15mm axle on the front and 12mm axle on the rear. Any 29er that doesn't have that, the benefits of it being a 29er are pretty much gone. You end up with a lot more flex, even with some higher end parts on there like the RockShox XC30 and things like that. So the benefits of a cheap 29er versus the benefits of a cheap 27.5 are zero, essentially, making the B-Twin that slightly bit of a better deal. Not to mention the typically better setup you get at Decathlon versus Halfords, and you can just Google Halfords are crap or something along those lines for bike setup being a serious issue. And then there's Glassdoor.com, which says just about how bad Halfords is to work for and how they train their employees and things like that. It's just not a very good company to deal with. I'll certainly go with the B-Twin all day long. This is just from experience, seeing many Carreras break. I have seen frame failures. This guy refuses to acknowledge that. No bike frames are X-rayed or anything like that, regardless as to what you're saying, standards and all that. Well, there's no world standards for X-ray or PFD or anything like that. So, yeah, that concludes this video. See you later.